Hey there, TadHargrave.com, and I'm just recording this video to share a bit about the content of my book, The Niching Nest. I've been doing a video a week, but I wanted to go kind of to the back of it where I talk about the 7 steps of the niching spiral. So there they are. And again, this is my book, The Niching Nest. So I think one of the places that people struggle the most in niching is they don't have an order or a syntax to go through it in. So it feels just, it's so much information and it's overwhelming. And it's good to have a bit of a step-by-step process. And of course, like any step-by-step process, it doesn't always go this way. And sometimes we jump back and forth. But you could consider each of these 7 steps as sort of buckets in which different information goes. And there is a general order it goes in. So this is particularly for, I would say, for people who already know what they're offering. This isn't for somebody who sees a need in the community and is wondering, what could I do about it? You're already a massage therapist, a life coach, you do permaculture, you do doula work, or you're, whatever it is. You know what it is you want to offer. Or you make a product and you know what that product is. You make massage stools, meditation stools or cushions, or you make couches or bongs, or I don't know, whatever you make. So the first thing that we want to start with is just the what. And this is just really clarifying what is it that you do and naming that. And of course, where does that come from, what it is that we do? It usually comes from something that we see missing in the community, something that's not there. That's where almost all successful niches started. It's not, there's 100 yoga teachers, I'll also be a yoga teacher. That's not exactly a path to a profitable business. We're looking for something that's not there. So if there's no yoga teachers in town, or very few, and you start, that might be more profitable or make more sense. Or, oh, hey, there's nobody doing yin yoga, or there's nobody doing prenatal yoga. Well, that might make a lot of sense. So we start with what's missing in the marketplace. And that could be the modality, but it could also be there's nobody doing it this way, or this kind of way. Second step is the why. And now the why is where we look at, and they're very connected, the what and the why. These two things. The why is just why so there's something missing in the community. We notice that in the what stage. But the why is saying, why is it missing? That's what it's beginning to wonder about. Or why do you notice that it's missing? Because not everyone notices it's missing. That's something to notice itself. Things that seem so obvious to you that they're missing in the community. Other people, it doesn't even occur to them. So why do you notice it? And the reason you notice it probably has something to do with your life experience. And, if you, if you had lower back pain and you realize there's nobody in town that specializes in lower back pain, but you dealt with it and it really crippled you, or you dealt with addiction and there's not a lot of services to help people with addiction, you're going to notice it. And other people have never struggled with it. It just doesn't occur to them. So we start looking at, why do we do this? What got us into it? I remember working with a woman who was an Ayurvedic nutritionist. And so that's what she does, yeah. And I said, but why did you get into this? And she said, well, because I had fibromyalgia. And this was the only thing I tried everything else. And this was the only thing that helped. And I have no symptoms anymore. I'm feeling great. So that will come back later in one of the other steps. But we want to really pause and just think, okay, not just what do I notice is missing, but why do I notice it's missing? What does it say about my life story? The good, the bad, the ugly, the inspiring, all of those. Then step 3 is the how. And so, how is it that we want to do the work that's different? So we know what we're going to do, but there may be a way that we do it that's different than other people. So what do I do? Well, how do I do it? Marketing workshops, let's say, is one thing. But how do I do it? I do them on a pay-what-you-can basis. So people are going to attend it for a small deposit, and they pay me whatever they want to pay at the very end of it. So that's one example of how. Or I do these puttering sessions where, what is it? It's just over-the-phone coaching, an hour. How do I do it? Well, I'm tidying and puttering my place while I do it. Or some people will take people out coaching, or out walking in the woods while they do the coaching. They'll say, come hiking with me. And they'll do it in that way. Other people will do it as a residential thing, or there's a lot of different ways of how you could do the work that would make it unique. Yes, I do yoga, but I do it to heavy metal music. This is a real thing. Okay, so then step 4 is the who. And the who, this is the first level of who, because there are two levels, is the big circle. Just generally, who do you want to work with? You know, what is it that you're saying yes to, and what are you saying no to with an ideal client? Very important to get clear about. And this is where you can just think about past clients that you've loved and past clients you haven't loved, and what are the common characteristics there. And you start to get a broad sense of, in very general terms, who might be a good fit for you. And so you might realize, you know, I really work with people, I work best with people who are really drawn to New Age philosophies. Or you might say, God, I can't deal with people with New Age philosophies. Or I tend to work better with people who are vegan. Or, well, you know, actually they need to be into eating, I do more primal diet stuff, so definitely not vegans. So you start to get clear on generally the ballpark. So this is just in broad terms. This is what we might call an ideal client, or a perfect customer in a way. So this isn't specific. You couldn't really build a marketing plan on this, but it acts as a filter. It acts as, you know, if you have a screen on a window, that lets in the fresh air, but it keeps out the bugs. And that's kind of what this level does of the who. This is, we're getting very clear on the exact type of person, but we do it in such a way that it'll filter out the people who are just not going to be a good fit, who would not enjoy it, who wouldn't get much out of it. And boy, there's a lot to it, but the simple exercise on this literally is just make a list of your top 10 favorite clients you've ever had, top 10 worst clients, and start to wonder why with each person. And you can come up with a list of the things you want, the things you don't want. Another simple exercise on this is come up with, you know, what are the top 3 to 5 absolute must-haves with a client? See if you can limit it to 3. They've got to be there for a client. Then you can have things that it'd be great if these things were true. You know, hey, if you really like these authors, if you like these documentaries, you like these teachers, we'll probably get along really well. You know, if you have these habits in your life, if you go to farmers markets and craft shows, we're probably going to get along great. That type of thing. And then the last one is, what are the deal breakers? Because everyone's got them. Some things where you just will stop working with somebody, or you just know it's not a fit. All right, and then step 5 is still the who, but now we're starting to, you see there's these 3 little circles, and because this is where we start to think about target markets. And what I recommend is, and this is such a simple idea, and when it hit me, it made so much sense to me, is if I say just pick one niche, one target market, you probably freak out. If I say pick 12, you freak out for a different reason. But 3 seems to be a sweet spot. If you can have one, do it. It's just, you make your life easier. But basically 3 little circles. So, for example, my mom and her husband have a tree farm called Sherwood's Forests. And when they started, they thought, okay, you know, generally, what's the big circle here? The general sense of who we want to work with? People who want to buy trees. That's their bullseye. That's kind of the bottom line. But then who are the little circles? The target markets. Well, little circles would be acreage owners was one, and I thought landscapers, garden supply centers. Now those two, for a few reasons, didn't work out, but acreage owners did, and then reclamation companies became another one. So those would be examples of 2 little circles that they could do very, very well with. And then you know, and if you go to marketingforhippies.com/homepage. I believe I'll put the link below. I think it's that. You'll see some examples of what I would call little circles articulated on a homepage of a website. Okay, and then we've got number 6, which is the experiment. You've got to try things. The 2 big mistakes people make in niching. One is they try things, but they don't reflect on it. So they have 20 years of experience, they say, but really it's 1 year of experience 20 times over. Or they reflect on things, and what would be a perfect niche and a perfect business, but they don't do anything. So you've got to be willing, it's got to be both. It's got to be a conversation with the marketplace. But when I say experiments, I mean tiny experiments. Before you think about starting a farm, maybe have a garden in your backyard. See if you like that at all. Before you think about touring North America with a workshop, why not just try a little workshop in your living room for free to see if you really like doing this kind of work with this kind of crowd. I remember I was working with sometimes by the way, the experiment is just thinking about it. I had a friend who was a yoga teacher, and she said, the niche I want to focus on is teaching yoga to kids. I said, great, well, let's you know, and I sent her a bunch of ideas around this, or no, I made a bunch of, I wrote them down. I woke up that night. I was going to send them to her. And the next day she said, you know, I slept on it. I realized after I thought about it, I don't want to do yoga for kids once a week, but I don't want that to be my whole niche. So experiments means you think about it, you have conversations with people, and you try tiny little things, tiny little experiments. And, you know, shout out to my colleague Javin Bernakovich on this, who had this brilliant idea of the 10 by 10 by 100 challenge. So it's the idea, pick something you could do in 10 hours or less. In 10 days or less, spending no more than $100. Limit yourself in that way and just try something. See what happens. Because you'll learn so much from that. People think, but my niche isn't clear, so I need to get it more clear before I start. You know, one of the things I talk about in this book is the 70% rule. If your niche is 70% clear, just roll with it. Just try some stuff. And you'll learn. You know, my colleague Rebecca Tracy with the uncagedlife.com is really good at this, of getting your clients to just do things, so you don't get stuck in the paralysis of analysis where you never stop thinking about it. You've got to try things. You'll learn more from those than you can from reflecting, and you'll hone your niche faster by trying things in the real world. And then, of course, step 7 is reflect. So you've got to then, once you've done the experiment, step back and reflect. And I just say this, the bolder the experiment, and the more specific the experiment, and the deeper the reflection, the faster you will do this spiraling action with the niche. So let's go back over these 7 steps. So you've got this puzzle piece here. That's the what. So that's where you notice what's missing. There's a piece of this puzzle missing. Step 2 is the why, and there's a book with a question mark on it, and it's this question of, you know, this book is your story of your life, and why do you feel so drawn to this? Then here, the how is the map, meaning, yeah, you start here, and you want to end up there, you know, at the X marks the spot, but there's a lot of ways to get there. There's so many different ways to make this journey from point A to point B. So what's your approach? And this gets into point of view, which is, you know, a whole other topic. Then you see there's the bullseye here for this first level of who. So this is just getting extremely clear. Who's your perfect type of person that you'd want to work with? And then you see the 3 circles there. So again, no more than 3. Somewhere between 1 and 3 target markets that you're going to focus on. That doesn't mean you won't get clients that aren't in this, probably. You know, that's fine, but you can be explicit in your marketing. You don't have to be exclusive. You'll still get a bunch of clients that aren't that, just from word of mouth, referrals, etc. Then little lab files for experiments. And then you see the little symbol for Janus. You know, one head looking in the future, one head looking into the past, or one face in the future, one face in the past. So we reflect, we think about, how did that go? And how might that shape what I do moving forward? So those are the 7 steps of the niching spiral. I hope that's useful. And of course, gosh, there's a lot more to it. But yeah, you know, you can keep your eye out for other videos that I'll be posting about this. And if you go to nichingspiral.com, there's a ton of free stuff. There's this ebook, The Niching Nest, that you can get. And then there's also my home study course. That's a 90-day home study course called The Niching Spiral, where you're walked through those 7 steps in very deep, rigorous detail. So if you've been struggling with your niche, hopefully maybe this gives you some sense of why or where you're stuck, which step hasn't been done very clearly. And if you could use some help, you know, of course, feel free to leave a comment below and I'll take a look. And otherwise, hope you're having a great day. Take care.